Welcome to this episode of Rattling the Bars. One of the things that everybody in the world knows is that Gitmo, Guantanamo Bay, is a horrible place to be. Today, we have the opportunity to talk to Mansoor Adayfi, who's an author, an activist, and a former detainee at Gitmo, joins us today. Mansoor, thanks for joining me.
Thank you so much for having me today and for giving me this opportunity to talk to you guys and talk to the world. Thank you.
Okay. I want to start off, I guess I want to start off by apologizing for my tax money that's been used for that horrible thing.
No, I won't accept that. Don't apologize for others' idiots' behavior because you have done nothing. And I won't accept any apologize for me because if someone cut me, I'm not gonna spill my blood on anyone. So, I mean, yes. we don't blame America or Americans for what happened to us, to be honest with you, and we don't hold anyone accountable for what has been done to us. Sorry for the interruption because I always
it's okay.
I understand people feel sometimes frustrated and guilty, and but it's not. We like from my understanding, it's not what America is about. It is we are considered those small group who didn't represent or don't represent America or American values. Simple as that.
Okay. All right. So then, will you give the audience a little background history how you end up in 2002 in Guantanamo? Where did it start from and what happened?
Okay, before we jump to Guantanamo, I would like to highlight just 2 points. The first point, I noticed that a lot of people talking about 9/11, which I'm not trying to undermine 9/11 or what happened 9/11, but at the same time, people forget to talk about what happened before 9/11 and what led to 9/11 to happen in the first place. As we know that United States involvement in Afghanistan since the 1980s, the 1990s, and also the 9/11 happened the first time in the 1993, as we recall my research that I found out when the same person targeted the same Twin Towers. But then the thing that happened in 9/11 when the war started between one organization, one man, Osama bin Laden, and the United States, and that led to 9/11. As we know, there is a few attacks happened before that. 9/11 did it change the world? The way Americans or the American government at that time reacted to 9/11, it changed the world. 9/11 was misused and abused until that day. And as we know, it has been like almost 20 years. And there was no any kind of justice. And delaying justice is justice denied. Simple as that. So basically, let us jump to after 9/11. Before 9/11, I was in Afghanistan. I was sent as a research assistant in Afghanistan to research the new group in Afghanistan, because as you know, in the 1990s, there was kind of vacuum in the media. And Al-Qaeda emerged really fast because it was fighting one of the superpower. And that time they say man against a superpower country to the extent. And they start building up. 9/11 happened while it was in Afghanistan. And when it did happen, we didn't pay much attention to it or care much about it, because simply in Afghanistan there was no TVs, no kind of media or a newspaper or something that really when you live in Afghanistan you feel like 1,000 behind the world. The only thing that gives sign that you live in modern life, that the moving cars. Other than this, people almost in their own life, way of life, poverty, and also people forget that Afghanistan has been suffering for the last 40 years. Soviet Union, civil war, United States occupation. So it's a lot. So when the first time I heard about 9/11, I was in the restaurant. We heard the radio that airplanes flew into buildings, and that's it. So In my research, I used to also station one of the charity organization who work as in Afghanistan at that time, for relief, helping aid and providing logistic and medicine and so on. That organization, Saudi organization, Saudi charity organization, gets instruction from Saudi Arabia that they should liquidate everything and they should leave. My friend told me, Mansoor, this is our last, load. We are going to take it to the hospital before we live in Afghanistan. We received instruction that we should leave. I said, okay, I'm going to accompany you. Afghanistan at that time, there is like war also between Taliban and the North Alliance. Also, there was like different kind of warlord. You live in there is some areas, no man land. It's just warlords and kidnapping and so on. When they saw we had a new blue, beautiful car, we were targeted, ambushed, and our car was taken. So at that time, we knew they wanted the car, and they would try to ransom us to Saudi Arabia for some money. Then American arrived there, and before American arrived, they were from the airplane throwing flyers offering large bounty of money. So, one bounty could change someone's life. So people start selling, kidnapping people and selling them to the Americans as Qaeda commanders, leaders, Taliban commanders, and so on. Because the more you give them the higher rank, the more pay you got. The prices were from $5,000 until like $100,000, $200,000, a lot of money. So I stayed a few weeks or two in the warlord house. Then I was sold to the CIA as Al-Qaeda commander, 9/11 insider, shipped to the black side, Kandahar detention, then to Guantanamo. I turned 19 years old in the black side, under the CIA, in the black side, the CIA, black side. So, I mean, I'm shorting the story. Story is really heavy and really dark and involve like torture, abuse to the extent. So I wasn't just that victim. I'm not trying to say that everyone in Guantanamo was innocent, but I'm going to give you American figures, which is by ACLU and Seton Hall University. They said only 80%, according to the research, only 8% have connection to Al-Qaeda or Taliban, and 86% they either sold for bounty money or mistaken identity. And I want to say something. The people who were in Guantanamo, they weren't in the battlefield holding guns or loyal to Al-Qaeda or Taliban. Though the men who arrived at Guantanamo, they were brought from different parts of the world, from Afghanistan, Pakistan, Iran, United Arab Emirates, Saudi Arabia, Egypt, Mauritania, Bosnia, Africa, different countries. And as we know, when George W. Bush announced crusade, or what they call war on terror, he said either with us or against us. There is no gray area. So people actually, and it's a lot of money, and people, who cares, And war against terror tend to be one of the profitable business until that day. I remember a story in 2005 when Yemen president visited the United States, and they refused to give him $120 million. He was upset. He went back to Yemen. He had some Al-Qaeda members in his jail. He released them. He said, okay, they escaped, simple as that. After that, European Union sent 500 million euro every year. United States government also blessed some funds. He said, I didn't have, the Yemen president at that time said, I didn't have money. I didn't have jails. I didn't have soldiers. I didn't have cars. So I cannot fight against terrorism or Al-Qaeda. So, it turned to be, a way of making profits. If you are afraid of me, I'm going to use your fear to basically blackmail you or try to tell you like I'm out of control. So that's what happened here. And many victims. So at Guantanamo, there was like around 800 men. The youngest was only few months old. The oldest was 105 years old. This is the age of kind of people. You have doctors, engineers, nurses, paramedics, journalists, poachers, mafia, drug dealers. You have also spies who used to work for the CIA. They were cut by Al-Qaeda and Taliban and jailed. And also when American forces arrived in Afghanistan, they shipped them back to Guantanamo. To the extent I met a full team who was sent by Saudi Arabia to assassinate Osama bin Laden. They failed, they get caught. When American came, they shipped them to Guantanamo. So what they did, basically, the CIA and American FBI and other American intelligence and army, they used to either kidnap people or arrest people in different parts of the world, ship them to Guantanamo. The idea was, we are going to take those people to this place, interrogate them, and sort their files. You know, even when George W. Bush established Guantanamo, it was just a temporary place. That's what they call detention, but it was intentionally selected to be the island of side of the law. So American law doesn't apply, Cuban law doesn't apply, international Geneva Convention doesn't apply. So what they call us, like, also they were smart. You know, when you deal with those minds, they're not stupid or idiots. No, they have consultants, they have advisors, they have experienced people to tell them what to do and how to do it. So they constructed the language. You know, war in Muslim. That I'm Muslim. If you ask me, it is war on us. You know, and they call it war on terror. It's actually war of terror. They call it the kidnapping, they call it rendition. Torture, they call it enhanced interrogation technique. You know, families that were killed or wiped out or drone assassination, they call it, you know, collateral damage. Detainees or prisoners of war, they call them, you know, detainees. That's it. You know, it's still like, so also when they constructed the language, they invented new realities, and they also legislated some kind of law for those realities. So war on terror, it's not just affect Muslims, it affects, you know, Muslims of overseas in our countries like Afghanistan, Iraq. You know, it also, as I told you, 9/11 was misused and abused. You know, war on terror that was used by American government for military expansion in Asia and Africa and so on. At the same time, it was also affect people, especially Muslim minorities within Europe and the United States. We can see how they start targeted those minorities, spying, you know, surveillance, you know, all kind of violation. Also, we had like, when I was in Guantanamo, I used to read how the FBI entrapment, how they used to entrapping people. I mean, when it comes to it, what happened to us? I mean, that system we created to serve humanity and to preserve us and to protect us and to make us safer. We are tilling that system to misuse it for our own gain. I mean, to the extent the one who should protect and treat people equally, they use the system to entrap those people and to, you know, what more injustice more than that? I felt so sad. Sometime at Guantanamo, honestly, I felt I was lucky because, you know, my family didn't wiped out. I thought at the same time, you know, at least at Guantanamo, I'm safe. I haven't get injured, or at least like I haven't killed yet. And when you ask Muslim to extent how war on terror affect them, especially the young generation, when those who born after 9/11 or when 9/11 happened, they have no idea. They were like 5 or 6 or so on. When they grow up, they grow up in that stigma, you know, being targeted, being, you know, harassed, Islamophobia, hate crime. So those young Muslims start looking back. Is our religion really that bad? Is our religion really like that? Is our religion the source of terrorism? So what they start investigating. No, that's not the truth. That's not whatever you try to say. No, we can read, we can understand, we can observe, we can ask. So those Muslims feel, the young Muslim generation felt the pain of rest. So when I talked to them after Guantanamo, because I have been researching Guantanamo for the last 5 years, I felt those young generation, they want to leave United States and Europe and want to live within a Muslim country that way they can feel free as Muslim to the extent. So, you know, that the system, as I told you, start to rise those who has no connection whatsoever. And if you ask around like 1.8 billion Muslim, what they think about 9/11, you know, we used to argue with that with the interrogation. I said, look, we as Muslims, every single life is sacred, even animals. As Muslims, we are allowed to kill animals just to feed. If you kill it for fun or so on, it becomes sin, and you have to be punished for that. You have to pay and punish for this. So, but like as I told you, Guantanamo was used. United States also used Guantanamo. They wanted to send some kind of George W. Bush administration. They used Guantanamo that they used Guantanamo. They wanted to send some kind of message to the world. We are going to cross any boundaries. We are not bound by any laws whatsoever. We understand this, we understand this. But peace can only achieve by justice. Simple as that. When you violate those, your own rule, your own boundaries, your own morals, ethics, chaos. Look what happened to the world now. And the first one who affected by war on terror, American themselves. Look, now, when you look at the casualties inside, the economic losses and so on, but also on the other side, when we talk about how many Muslims have been killed, displaced, countries occupied, and look, in Iraq, in Afghanistan, in Yemen, in Syria, and elsewhere, because the United States hold very sensitive, a very important position in the world politics. When they move in a wrong way, they shake the whole world, whether we like it or not, whether anyone, Chinese, Russian, like it or not. American, United States like an umbrella. So when it starts shaking, something dropped down. That would have been here. It is like one of the most, it is the most super powerful country ever existed in history. No exaggeration. So any move affects the entire world. So
so let me just stop you right there. This is good information, but I wanna know, you survived 14 years in that Guantanamo. And I know your book, Don't Forget About Us Here, Lost and Found at Guantanamo, probably talks about this, but how did you survive? I heard music, art, etc. Tell it. I mean, you look healthy, you look whole, and that's a miracle compared to the stuff that we know that go down there. How did you survive?
Well, story of survival, it's a long and complicated, and it's not just a story. It was a way of life to survive at Guantanamo. You have no choice, either die or survive. So, but as I told you, as a human being, what makes us as a human being, as individual, as unique, as beautiful human, because I believe that there is kindness, there is good in every single soul, in every single human being, regardless. Because that's the way we're born, that's the way we created. At Guantanamo, as like in my experience and the experience I wrote about it, I noticed there, the things that help us to survive, first of all, our faith as Muslims and, our religion and faith, it play a key and important role in our survival at Guantanamo, because, you kind of turn to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to our God. We are hopeless, we are helpless in that place. Please, we need your help. At the same time, the things that help us to survive each other, supporting, standing with each other, comforting each other. One of the things also, the packages we brought with us. What I mean by that, it is like as I always say, that what makes us as unique as humans and individual soul, it is the things that we hold and that make us who we are. Our names, language, faith, morals, religion, memories, experience, knowledge, emotion, relationship, time. Those things, that what make you as a person, what make her as a unique person.
في رضاك كل آلام السجون كل ما فيها يهون كل آلام السجون كل ما فيها يهون في رضاك بغية العليل منية الكليل أن يراك.
When you come to Guantanamo, the policy of Guantanamo to change that. We become like just a numbers. We were not allowed to talk, to stand, to practice that daily life. So, I mean, for me as a tribal teenager, and I couldn't accept that. It's not it's not how a way I was brought up. It's not the way I was raised in my tribal society with my tribal family and life. So I just, you know, I'm not gonna do that because it doesn't make any sense. We didn't care about, you know, rank or titles or military or navy or army or marines. I didn't care, you know. It just like respect, man to man, face to human to human. So the things that we brought to us first, knowledge, of course, because as I told you, there was doctors, nurses, scholars. We started teaching each other about whatever you have, your knowledge, your experience, that because we weren't allowed to have any kind of pen or access to the world. We were totally disconnected from the world. And we didn't have much there. So we start sharing with each other what we have, part of us, part of our life, part of our memories, knowledge, experience. So that things help us to survive and learn at that place. Also, defending each other and protesting and trying to helping each other because, you know, Guantanamo keep evolving, it's changing, and it was the way it is. It's like a machinery that never doesn't have any kind, because as I told you, there was no any kind of rule or law that you can know how can you, because in other jails there is a routine happen every single day. People understand, but in Guantanamo, every the guards and combat administration interrogators rotated every 3, 6, or 1 year, and every new group, every people, they have their own way of running the camp. Plus, from 2002 until 2010, we call it the dark age. You know, their main focus, everything controlled by interrogators, and they went to extract information. But the truth or existence of Guantanamo, it wasn't about American safety or American security or about information. It wasn't about that at all. You know, when General Miller arrived by the end of 2002, he had one mission. He united all the forces at Guantanamo into what they call it DTF, Joint Task Force. And he created the back channel, communicated with the Pentagon, you know, passing all the chain of command. He was communicating with Donald himself. So Guantanamo would turn what they call it laboratory, what they call it Guantanamo America's Battle Lab. If you just now Google Guantanamo America's Battle Lab, you can read a whole research, like 80 some pages, about how Guantanamo was turned by the military minds, by the military officers into experimenting. You know, at that time, General Adayfi, when I'm saying General Adayfi Miller, I mean that same person who tortured prisoners and detainees in Iraq and Sign Abu Ghraib and other places. So that criminals started at Guantanamo. So at Guantanamo, they start constructing and developing what they call enhanced interrogation technique. You know, play with word. You know, it sounds friendly. It sounds something like modern enhanced interrogation technique, which actually torture, sleep deprivation, waterboarding, beating, sexual assault, rape, all kind of things, physical, mental, psychological, and you have a whole team. It's not just one person. There was also experiments, there was a consultant, there was also psychologists, doctors, and it is it's like everything was designed around you to break you. The whole program, your life, every single day, was designed to the extent, you know, to make you, you know, with the interrogation. But it's not about interrogation. You know, they wanted to know what kind of enemy they are up against. So what I told you, there was over around 50 nationalities, over 20 languages spoken, different mindset, different countries, different age. That made it, you know, the best opportunities for them to experiment and study those minds. Because when you come from the military perspective, we are going to fight against those kind of people for maybe the next 20, 30, 50, 100 years. So we need to understand what we are against, how they behave, how they communicate, you know, how we can interrogate them, what the best thing to deal with those people. So yeah, I mean, especially now when you come to the modern science in every field, the same way, especially in the military, the same way. So that what happened there. And we were not just the victims of Guantanamo, you know. When I'm saying that, there was also guards, campus staff, you know, there was people who tried to, people who either tried to sympathize or people who tried not to lose their humanity, because they were also victims of Guantanamo. When you bring someone and ask them to torture someone, and to be, it will have side effect. It will have impact. That would happen there. You know, before they brought the soldiers or the guards to Guantanamo, they used to take them to the ground zero or to the 9/11 site and dealt with the people responsible for that down at Guantanamo. So yeah, that when the soldiers, some of them arrived, they were full of hate and grudge. They want revenge. We can see it in their words, in their faces, in their behavior. But they're also human beings. They're not robots. They don't just follow instructions. When they mix with us, when they live with us every day, because we become part of each other's life, whether you like it or not, it's the way it is. Now I'm talking to you, I'm spending some time with you, I will be part of your memory, of your life, and so on. So they watch us, some of them kids and they watch us praying, eating, crying, laughing, joking, get beaten, get tortured. They also can differentiate who is bad, who is good, who is terrorist or not. They found out, the people is not what they were told they were. So many of them changed their mind, many of them apologize. But again, when you come to the military, people follow orders. Not, if you need to take any action, that will affect the rest of your life. I remember one of the example I always talk about it, because an American Army captain, James Yee, I think his story is well known. One of the things what we saw, yeah. But when he started, opposed the General Miller policy of torture at Guantanamo, he was viewed as an obstacle. So they want to get rid of him. So
he was the Islamic chaplain or captain in the United States Army. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, he was. He was a graduate of West Point University, and was sent to Guantanamo as an army captain, as a chaplain, to ease cultural tension, to educate the guards, and to help detainees in their religion issues. But he found out that the religion itself was used as part of torture, torturing people, using desecrating the Holy Quran, stripping people naked, preventing them from praying, all kind of things that can make pressure on us. So we used to complain to talk to James. It's like, what's going on here? He tried, honestly, and we know he was a sincere person. But the Pentagon and General Adafyi, they have another. They have another function for Guantanamo, or another project for Guantanamo. So he was accused of espionage, sympathized with terrorists, and so on. I'm like, it's so ridiculous. He was arrested, interrogated, and so on. We are talking about an American army captain who came to serve his own country, who might at some point would sacrifice his life to protect and serve his country. I mean, to that extent, just because he was a Muslim. Sympathizing with detainees weren't allowed. Like, as I told you, as a person, if you got caught laughing or tried to some of the detainees, you will be punished. You will never come back to the same block. And it's not just torture for detainees, it's just for you, because you try to be yourself. Simple as that, because it's not your position to judge people. It's not your position to interrogate them. It's not your position. You were required as a human to treat them as a human being. And we took wonder like a justice system, but Guantanamo, it was out of the law, that, as I told you, and it's just a dark black hole or black site within a military base at Guantanamo. So what's Guantanamo now? Guantanamo now is become like a symbol of torture, lawlessness, abuse of power, oppression, indefinite detention, also a death sentence for the people who's there. Also, it gives some kind of legitimacy to tyrants in the Middle East and other countries. They started constructed and built their own Guantanamos. China, Egypt, Saudi Arabia, United Emirates, other countries, they have their own Guantanamos. If the boss can do it, why not us? And it's the same style: counterterrorism, extremism, and the common thing that you have to be Muslim to apply that. So by default, as Muslim, you are a terrorist. So that's it.
Yeah. Let me ask you, because you said earlier, and I think this is an important point for survival. You said you together from 15 different countries, 20 languages, you all found a way to protest. And I know part of the protest was like hunger strikes, where they used force feeding that turned into terror and torture. But I also understand y'all did culture and music and art. Talk a little bit about the protests that y'all did and how y'all supported each other.
Yeah, like as I told you, it was 50 nationalities, not 15, 50 nationalities. So at the beginning, we used to just react to whatever they throw at us, because at Guantanamo, as a person, as a Muslim, as a human, you try to preserve yourself, who you are, because that place and that policy and that way of treatment will change you, and you don't want that to happen. They already took your name. You are dealing with as a number. So also at the same time, part of you who are, you try to live your daily life. I mean, you cannot, you wouldn't accept any change because it's not who you are. They like, if you're 19 or 20 or 25, 30, it's not that just one order or written law can change you 30 years and just like this. No, it's not going to happen. Also, when they started an intensive interrogation and the torture, we tried to resist. You know, the best way started like the hunger strike, as you know, and that took until that day, people are on hunger strike, because it is just, you feel pain when you see someone being tortured. And they took it as a challenge. That our hunger strike or our protest was taken as that we were doing some kind of jihad activism in the camp. We were accused to be Al-Qaeda terrorist cell inside Guantanamo, announced jihad against the United States to the extent. So yes, I mean, at the beginning we take things seriously. Then we find out if you're going to take things seriously, we are actually driving ourselves crazy, just live our lives. So we're starting, as I told you, teaching each other. We had one night in the week, which is like each black, they have one night in the week, you know, celebrating, trying to escape the way, the pain being in jail, escape that feeling that you are being caged in those open cages. So within one block, there was around 40 detainees from different nationalities. As I told you, everyone came with his package. You have artists, singer, crazy people, kind of people. So we used to sing in different languages, in Arabic, English, French, Farsi, Pashto, Urdu. It was so beautiful and so amazing to hear those songs in just the same time. It's like we didn't have iPad or MP3 because at that time we didn't even go to invent it. But you can hear it, just listen to it and enjoy it. Dancing, poems, stories, and so on. Even that was taken as act of, you know, challenging, and we were sometimes get punished, closing the window, you know, turn on the vacuum, the ventilation, the fans, and everything. Sometimes they would take us and separate us in different blocks. So it was a way of surviving, you know. It was like 6 years and years and years, and we kept doing what we do because it is important for you. It's because if you just give up to the situation, I don't think we could we could survive. And if you ask me, sometimes people ask me, have you survived? You know, I don't know, but to some extent, I tried. At least I tried, because they wanted to change you. They wanted to break with. They wanted to drive you to sanity. And seeing you happy, seeing you laughing or making jokes. One of the things we did there, it's like we did have the kind of sense of humor, making joke about everything, about interrogation, about torture, about so on. So yes, and when the dark age period ended in 2010, when Mr. Obama came, when the White House turned to a black house, the way you call it. So we entered what they call the golden age, and like things happened so fast. When Obama failed to close the detention, we negotiated with the administration about the life, you know, and we negotiated stopping the torture, stopping the interrogation, improving the life on the detention itself, having access to the world outside, news, TV, communication with our families, letter, phone calls, you know, improving the healthcare, food, clothing, and everything. I think it's changed. And we're also demanding some kind of classes. There what the art started. Art started early, but art classes started, that what the art started really flourish and started taking a huge part in our daily life, because before that, anyone can have access to pen and paper. But 2010, everything had changed. So we started demanding classes in English, in painting, in, you know, different also classes. One of the most important class was the art, which also because art is so important, because, you know, when you live in that detention for that so long, you start constructing a new memories, a new way of life, a new personality, a new person, whether you like it or not. That's what is, you know, you become not just part of that detention, you that period of life connected to that time and so on, like emotion, time, memories, experience, people around you, people, relationship with people. So you know, there's like turning point in our life. So when you start painting, art connected us to ourselves, to our memories, to the world outside, to our families, to everything. Because when you start, you know, extracting what hidden inside you, that emotions, you try. We painting with things that we missed: sea, sky, sun, stars, families, trees, horses. It just, you name it. We paint about our struggle and suffering and so on. So what I call art, it is a soul's language. You know, it is a soul to a soul language. So you know, sometimes we will look at, when you ask someone about painting, everyone have different opinion, experience about the same painting. So, but also those painting hold tears, secrets, memories, time, life, and so on. So yeah, art also was a way of therapy and a way of communication. And I wrote a book about art from Guantanamo in 2017-18. And we couldn't find a publisher so far. I hope we are trying to find a publisher to publish art. It's not just art; it's a beautiful story about art and survival, and it's an amazing story. You know, art that what created at Guantanamo. It's unlike any other art created in other places.
Well, okay. Let me just ask you this. I noticed you have that orange on, and you know, I spent, you have no way of knowing this, but I spent 44 years in prison here in America.
What? Are you serious?
Yeah, as a former Black Panther Party member. And I simply refuse to put on anything that is associated with prisons. But I understand in Guantanamo, they had y'all wear orange from head to toe the whole entire time you were there. And I understand that people get out, they don't want to even be near orange. How do you manage to sit there with your orange on, and why?
You know, simply I'm telling them, you didn't break me, you didn't tame me. You know, I still love the orange color, and I'm using Guantanamo to fight Guantanamo. And also I'm showing them that they want to implant you. Like when I was talking to the psychologist, the ICRC and so on, they think, oh, when you get out and you see the orange, like say, oh, I said, nope, I love the orange. I have made peace at Guantanamo. You know, I'm not kind of deal with that. Like I use the number 441. I own it. I pay for around 15 years of it. So I just, and the message of the things that you use, try to break me, try to change me, try to tell me it's not gonna happen. I'm going to use it, become part of my life. I will like it or not, but I will take it, make peace with it, and I will use it. And trust me, I'm sure when they watch me wearing the orange suit, because they know to their core Guantanamo was a mistake all along. They knew they detained innocent men there. So when I use it, I'm just telling them message, remind them what happened there. Also, I wear this, the main reason to wear it, to show solidarity for the people who stripped their own freedom and what they call the war on terror, or anyone else, because no one should, under any circumstance, strip her or his freedom, unless if there is like a law, if there's something really happened. It's like accusing someone, stripping his freedom, torturing, abusing, indefinite detention, and so on. So to what? I mean, because I mean, as I told you, it's also to show that I took up a part in activism and so on. So yeah, it is my approach to the story.
Okay, let me just, I guess one last thing. What are you, I know you're in Belgrade, you're trapped in Serbia. You can't leave, so to speak. You call it Gitmo 2.0, but what are you doing there?
For the we have done this. You know, we have managed to publish Don't Forget Us Here. It's the book that actually I would like to talk about it, the way it was written at Guantanamo, alhamdulillah. That book was first written in 2000, between 2010 and 2013. I wrote it while learning English and so on during the golden age. It was taken in 2013, confiscated, classified and secret, taken away. Then I wrote it again in 2015 to my lawyer. I wrote it as legal letters, wired, chained, and shackled to the floor. So I used to write it like every week, chunk of legal letters, and send it there. Alhamdulillah, she managed to get it out. And since 2018, my friend Antonio Ailo and I worked really hard to put it that way. Alhamdulillah, we managed to publish it. Second thing, last month I graduated of my university, like bachelor degree. So there is a huge gap in my life. It's like 15 years. I tried to capture, but I tried just, people ask me how old are you? I said like 20, 23. Okay, 20, 23 and a half. I haven't counted Guantanamo. So alhamdulillah, I graduated. My thesis was about rehabilitation and reintegration of former Guantanamo detainees into social life and the labor market, because I tried to help brothers, because there is a lot of problems. When I'm telling you we live in Guantanamo 2.0, this is here. This is my next book, Life After Guantanamo. Can you see it? So actually, those stickers, it took me 5 years to put them together, because every time I put sticker about special stories, about my story, my other brothers' stories, and stories of the world, and stories of Guantanamo itself, lawyers and politics and so on. So yeah, this is my next project, inshallah, will be the next book, Life After Guantanamo. Also, we are working with the Sundance, developing a TV show from Guantanamo with life. But life after Guantanamo is tough, honestly, yes. When I did my research, I found there is some brothers who managed to rehabilitate and reintegrate into society and become productive members of their societies, families, jobs, normal people, to some extent, we can call that. But other parts, we live under restrictions. We are being treated like terrorists, and many difficulties and challenges intentionally, but just because simply people we live in the stigma of Guantanamo, and also some of those countries treat us like a threat to terrorists. There are also worse cases, people who lost their life, and also there is brothers who were sent from Guantanamo as a resettlement in United Arab Emirates. They still in jail since 2015-16 until that day, unfortunately, and even they been treated worse than Guantanamo. No family visits, only limited 3 minutes to 5 minutes every other month, every 2 or 3 months a call. No access to lawyers, NGOs, and they have no rights. They cannot challenge their detention, and they don't know until when they are going to stay that way. And this is life. This is Guantanamo. This life. Still, Guantanamo hasn't left us yet.
Okay, Mansoor, thanks for joining me. I know it's been a journey, and we
I didn't think it's like your journey. Like it's for 4 years. I can imagine. I think next time I should interview you, not you interview me.
Well, both were rough, but we survived. Tell me, when your next book come out, can we come back and revisit you and talk about it?
Yeah, of course.
Okay. All right. So thank you.
Thank you so much for having me today. Last one thing I would like to call on the people to try to Mr. Biden to close Guantanamo once for all and to end the indefinite detention. It's just a simple request. It's not about Guantanamo, it's about us all as human beings.
Okay, that is good. Okay, and thank you for joining this episode of Rattling the Bars.